Thank you very much for being here this morning. I think our senators are extremely busy, but we expect the presence shortly of both Senators Villar as well as Gatchalian. Perhaps the first group to present. I think there are three groups here, and we can call on our committee secretary, Beth Agas, to please recognize the guest.
Nagre-recognize na ako. Good morning. Good morning, Senator. For today's
Yes, good morning.
deliberation on the proposed 2021 budget for the Climate Change Commission, for the Philippine Competition Commission, and for the Credit Information Commission, we have the following resource persons. For the Climate Change Commission, we have Secretary Emmanuel de Guzman, Commissioner Rachel Ann Herrera, Commissioner Noel Antonio Gerlan, ASEC Romel Antonio Cuenca, Nemia Marie Dingcon, Jerome Ilagan, and for the Philippine Competition Commission, we have Chair Arsenio Balisacan, we have Executive Director Kenneth Tanate, Attorney Melbourne Pana, Jose Ericta, Kimberly Diet, Attorney Manuel Mendoza, Attorney Christian Meneses, Attorney Faye Condes de Sagon, Penelope Endozo, Kathy Pillas, Director Joseph Melvin Basas, Director Crystal Uy Sia, Director Lian Ivy Medina, Director Orlando Polinar, Director Ferdinand Redulia, Director Arnold Tenorio, Jason De La Torre, Bernard Tinosas, Joseph Bernat, Lenet Laudensia, Alan Roy Mordeno, Antonia Linley Bautista, Attorney Anton Arcilla, Attorney James Donato, Attorney Christian de los Santos, Carlos Juan de Vega, Tristan Canare, Cha Santos, Jill Bacasmas, and Sherina Salas. For the Credit Information Commission, we have Attorney Eileen Amor Bautista, the OIC and President and CEO, Maria Bernadette Bautista, Jovelyn Legaspi, the Chief Accountant, and Rodney Valencia of HRMO. That's all, Senator.
Yes, thank you very much. Who'd like to go first? If you have presentations, Secretary, do we have PowerPoint slides or other presentations already inputted? Sino po mauna? Climate change?
Climate change, Senator.
O sige, yung climate change na lang po. Meron ba kayong presentation? Meron bang PowerPoint or slides or something?
Meron po, Madam Vice Chair. It's already
Okay,
ready
great.
po.
So if we could go very quickly, we're fairly familiar with your budget from last year and previous budgets. If you could just highlight the salient changes from last year to this year. Thank you very much, Secretary. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair of the Senate Committee on Finance. Honorable Senators, good morning po sa inyong lahat. On behalf of the Climate Change Commission, represented today by its commissioners and senior officials, I am pleased to present our agency's proposed budget for fiscal year 2021. The CCC appeals for your support to our Herculean task to capacitate our local communities to address climate change challenges. Like COVID, climate change is an urgent global and national concern. It is a life and death issue, a national security concern that demands a holistic and comprehensive approach and a resolute action from all that is informed by the latest science. It is in this context that the Climate Change Commission ensures the mainstreaming of climate change into the national, sectoral, and local development plans and programs pursuant to law. Under President Rodrigo Duterte, the CCC has advanced climate policy and action across the government and sectors of society, achieving 10 milestones. We have promulgated 10 national climate policies. Among the more recent are on adopting a national policy framework for managing climate risks, strengthening gender responsive approaches to climate action, promoting circular economy, and establishing the national designated authority for the Green Climate Fund. The first monitoring and evaluation report on the implementation of the National Climate Change Action Plan and the National Policy Review on Energy were completed. Jointly with the Department of Interior and local government, the CCC has helped LGUs enhance their local climate change action plans, which have increased by tenfolds from 137 in 2015 to 1,267 in 2019. Local government officials from over 285 LGUs and faculty members from 124 higher education institutions were trained on local climate adaptation and mitigation planning. Together with the Department of Budget and
Sorry,
Management,
with all due
yes,
respect, Mr. Secretary, if we can just go straight to the budget, please, as we have so many agencies to go through. Thank you very much. We're quite aware of this. This was submitted
okay.
ahead of time.
Thank you, ma'am. Through the years, the CCC has had an allocation ranging from 38 million in 2011 to 174 million in 2020. On average, since its establishment, it subsists with 0.006% share of the national government budget. We have endeavored to optimize the use of its limited resources, recording high budget utilization rates since 2018. For next year, Madam Chair, the proposed budget of 135 million is much less, only 0.004% of the total national government budget. The proposed budget is broken down into personal services, 53 million, that's about 38%. Maintenance and other operating expenses or services, 82 million or 58%, and retirement and life insurance premium of 4.9 million or 4%. The CCC is without any budget for capital outlay next year po. The proposed agency budget of 140 million is about 21% lower than that of this year po. MOOE decreases by 37%. The increase in personal services is due to the filling up of new plantilla positions. Pursuant to law, policies, and the National Development Agenda, the CCC is driven by the following thrusts to steer the country towards achieving a more sustainable, science-based transition to a better normal and green recovery from the COVID crisis. Ito po yung apat na program thrust namin: Climate Change Policy and Planning Advisory Program, Policy Research and Development Program, Adaptation and Mitigation Capacity Development Program, and Adaptation and Mitigation Monitoring and Evaluation Program. With the proposed budget for 2021 po, the CCC shall deliver on the following key outputs. National Climate Change Action Plan will be updated po. The nationally determined contributions implemented, the national stock take for the National Climate Risk Management Framework completed, quality assurance system for the local climate change action plans established, funding proposals for PSF, GCF, and other facilities reviewed and endorsed, capacity building and technical advisory support provided po to the LGUs, higher education institutions, and the national government agencies and other stakeholders. However, given that the MOOE budget of the CCC will decrease by 37% next year, the delivery of certain key program services will be hampered po. In this regard, we appeal to this august body for an augmentation of 13.9 million to support the conduct of climate research studies, technical evaluation and review of PSF proposals, production of new knowledge products, conduct of advocacy activities, establishment of our digital knowledge management platform, and the conduct of monitoring and evaluation activities pursuant to law. We are counting on the support of the honorable senators to the agency budget of the CCC so that we can do more for the country and help more local communities cope. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. Who would like to go next? I think I have on hand Professor Balisacan for our Philippine Competition Commission. Please go ahead.
Finance Committee Vice Chair Senator Amy Marcos, other honorable members of the Senate, colleagues in government, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. We thank you for the opportunity to present to this honorable committee the budget proposal of the Philippine Competition Commission for fiscal year 2021. In the interest of time, as proposed here by our chair, let me go directly to the proposed budget and the priorities of the Commission for fiscal year 2021. And so, in 2021, the PCC's initiatives will focus on e-commerce, health and pharmaceuticals, insurance, logistics and shipping, food, energy and electricity, water, as well as real estate and property development. These identified sectors are consistent with the priorities laid down in the Philippine Development Plan and have considered the trends and necessities that have arisen due to the pandemic, while keeping in mind the overall strategy for economic recovery and resiliency. Let me go through briefly our major activities for 2021, Madam Chair. Under competition enforcement, we intend to heighten our efforts to open cartel and abuse of dominance investigations in the priority sectors, as well as in sectors which may be vulnerable to anti-competitive practices during this crisis. With the Supreme Court's issuance of rules and PCC's searches and inspections, our enforcement office will intensify its case building and evidence gathering by conducting down raids on target entities. We'll also be promoting our leniency program, a whistleblower type program designed to deter the creation of cartels and assist in the prosecution of existing ones. We also intend to sustain our partnership with the Department of Energy and Energy Regulatory Commission to investigate competition cases in the energy sector, and with the Commission on Audit and Office of the Ombudsman to detect, investigate, and prosecute bid rigging in public procurement. As we continue to promote transparency and compliance, we will be issuing guidelines on abuse of dominance and vertical restraints to guide businesses, consumers, and practitioners. On merger review, we will continue to undertake careful and timely review of mergers and acquisition transactions, breaching the new notification threshold of 50 billion pesos. Under the recently signed Bayanihan 2, mergers amounting to less than 50 billion pesos are exempt from compulsory notification for 2 years and from motu proprio review of the Commission for 1 year. Even with this significantly higher threshold, the PCC remains vigilant to transactions that may substantially lessen competition. To promote ease of doing business, we will further improve our merger rules, guidelines, and forms. We will also continue to strengthen our mechanisms in monitoring non-notified transactions and in imposing remedies on anti-competitive M&As. On policy research, the PCC will continue to generate policy and position papers based on the proactive review of laws, bills, and regulations that may substantially lessen competition. We'll also sustain the implementation of our long-term research program and launch and complete market studies in priority areas. We aim, Madam Chair, to file amicus briefs in the Supreme Court in cases whose outcomes may affect competition. This endeavor was inspired by our efforts in 2016, wherein we submitted an amicus brief to the Supreme Court in the case of the PCAB, versus Manila Water, our brief was used heavily by the Supreme Court in voiding the nationality-based restrictions in the licensing of contractors, giving a level playing field for local and foreign firms to undertake construction activities in the Philippines. This is expected to reduce the cost and improve the quality of construction activities in the country, including projects under the government's Build, Build, Build program. To foster a culture of competition responsive to the new normal, the PCC will ramp up its advocacy and capacity building activities, especially for the legislature and LGUs. To further sharpen the expertise of its operational units, the PCC will ensure the implementation of its long-term capacity development program and tap into the expertise of the academe and to catalyze the development of competition experts. In view of the foregoing plans and priorities, the PCC is proposing a total budget of 804.6 million pesos for fiscal year 2021. This is 156.72 million pesos, or 24.2% higher than the 2020 approved budget. Majority of this increase is from the budget allocated for foreign assisted project. I'll expound a bit on this shortly, Madam Chair. With regard to personal services, the proposed budget for 2021 is 252.65 million pesos. This is 12.8% higher compared to this year's figure due to the additional 26 plantilla positions approved by the DBM, as well as the increase in government counterpart contribution for PhilHealth and Pag-ibig. For the regular agency budget, our expected MOOE for next year is 275.6 million, increasing by 13.56% from this year. This increase in MOE pertains to the conduct of surveys, maintenance of data center, and various ICT materials. The proposed budget for capital outlay under the regular agency budgets is only 6.57 million pesos, or roughly 4% lower compared to 2020 budget. For the foreign assisted project, the MOE amounts to 85.19 million pesos, increasing by 53.8% from this year. This involves the programs and activities for the implementation of the capacity building to foster competition project, a 6-year project loan from the Asian Development Bank. The said project will have a total budget of 269.76 million for 2021. The 55% increase from last year's figures is due to the project's full implementation next year. It's also important to note, Madam Chair, that while the PCC is the executing agency for this budget, almost half of the project's budget is intended for other beneficiary agencies such as the UP College of Law, NEDA, DOJ, and OSG, which are part of the chain of competition expertise that we are building. Of the 534.85 million requested, the regular agency budget, 47.7% will be allocated to support the attainment of the agency's mandate of merger review, competition enforcement, policy research, advocacy, and capacity building. The remaining 52% will be allocated to the general administration and support. The fund utilization is already net of the budget returned or reallocated for Bayanihan 1. In view of the pandemic, the PCC made a realistic assessment of its financial and operational status and surrendered a total amount of 48.7 million for projects that can no longer be implemented or completed in 2020. Over the years, Madam Chair, the PCC's obligation rate has notably increased from 67% in 2018 to 86.6% in 2019. The PCC could have reached more than 95% this year if not for savings generated from the funding support of development partners. We are pleased to say that the PCC has maintained since its establishment in 2016 an unqualified opinion or the best audit rating from COA. In closing, Madam Chair, I would like to emphasize that competition policy remains relevant during the pandemic and the recovery, ensuring that the mechanisms of competition policy are working despite the challenging circumstances will level the playing field for businesses, protect consumer welfare, and build a robust culture of competition in the Philippines. Indeed, the PCA, or the Philippine Competition Act, is the premier and comprehensive framework on market competition, with the PCC as the primary agency mandated to enforce it. With a staff consisting of 197 members and still growing, the PCC is in full gear, quickly scaling up and fine-tuning its operations, building its institutional knowledge, and greatly improving stakeholder awareness to strengthen its capacity to carry out its core processes. In this regard, the approval of PCC's proposed 2021 budget is critical to ensure that we will be able to create a robust and enduring culture of competition in our country. By enabling a more vibrant Philippine competition landscape, we can take a step closer to our shared national goal of ensuring swift economic recovery and creating a resilient economy. Thank you very much and a pleasant day to all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And certainly we have seen the uncompetitiveness that has surged during this pandemic for those who seek to exploit the crisis. Thank you very much. And I will ask you later about Bayanihan 2 and its impact on your business. We call on the OIC, please, of Credit Information Corporation. I think Attorney Eileen was earlier present. Oh, there we go. You're on mute.
Good morning, Madam Senator.
There we go. Thank you very much. I can hear you now.
Yes, allow me to share our presentation for this morning. Just to give a very brief.
If we can just go through the mandates and so on, we're all
Yes.
perfectly familiar with that.
Yes, Madam
Sige.
Senator. Thank you.
Alam na natin yung mga
Okay.
RA na yan.
Yes, that it was created by 9510.
That's fine. Can we just go to the budget,
Sure,
please? We're
sure.
quite aware of this. Thank you.
Sure, Madam Chair. And we would just like to
Ito
share
yung
that.
problema. That's right. Eto. Okay.
Opo. Yes, that for the last 7 years, since the CIC has started, we have there were no balances, audit suspensions, allowances, and charges as of year end. And for the fiscal year 2019 annual audit report, the Commission on Audit issued a qualified opinion. So
That's fine.
the
We're all in
highlights
possession.
of
Andito po.
Sige po. Madam Chair, for this year, we're asking for 90 million pesos. And the reason for this is we intend to put this on, because CIC is basically a service-oriented organization with 2 lines of public service being divided into 2 areas. We have the regulatory and the business generation, and most of the fixed expenses that have been seen generally around the physical and IT infrastructures, and except for increases in database capacity and expansion of our office facilities, the greatest increase will be seen in our manpower complement. And during this pandemic, it's a bit surprising even to us that there have been many the increase or the need for the use of the credit reports have been in surge. And during this restricted budget, most of our funds will go to our IT infrastructure. I will elaborate more on that in a while in the subsequent slide, Madam Chair. And if we are not able to get that 90 million fund for the year, there will be a cause of potential data loss, and that's something that we are really avoiding. For 2020, we have an estimated revenue of 10.7 million because we have merely started with a service or with a paid access last year, September 2019. And it has just been a year, but we have now great large financial institutions accessing the data. We have 519 lenders submitting data, and these are composed of universal, commercial banks, and even right now during this pandemic, there is an increase of usage of the credit report because apparently there are some lenders that would not want to risk or would not want to extend loans if they do not know the financial condition of the borrowers, even in this time of pandemic. So these budget will generally go to our support also to all Bayanihan to Heal as One Act activities related to credit and MSME supports. And this will also go to the support to banks, government, and private institutions. We are happy to mention, Madam Chair, that even the government service insurance system is now submitting the credit data of their borrowers to us, and that there are other lending institutions implementing provisions of the Bayanihan to Heal as One Act. And the CIC data will greatly assist the national government in implementing economic stimulus and other debt mitigation activities enacted by law and or individual financial institutions based on internal policy. And the CIC also will aid greatly in giving small businesses access to credit via microfinance institution, and would spur economic activity in line with the government's aim of making economic growth more inclusive. Because right now we have around 80 million credit data in the system of the CIC. And by instilling better credit discipline among small entrepreneurs, they have better chances of sustaining their business through enhanced access to credit, and it would increase employment opportunities, especially during this pandemic. And just to go to the other slide, Madam Chair, the CIS cost allocation. This is where a bulk of our funds will go because having we are
Yes,
the largest.
if I may, the
Yes, Madam Chair.
breakdown for the 90 million requested goes to where?
The breakdown, Madam Chair, for the
Kasi nalito na ako,
Here.
dami-daming slide. Alin ba yung 90
sorry po.
million?
Andito
Saan
po,
ba
Madam
pupunta yung
Chair.
90 million?
Sa ano po, Madam Chair, yung operating personal services po, 49,352,000. And then yung maintenance and other operating expenses po namin is 73 million and 750 pesos.
Teka, ang karamihan ito, sweldo? Ang karamihan ng 90 million, ano? Sweldo?
Hindi po, Madam Chair. Ano po, para po dun sa system, dun po sa ano po natin, maintenance and other operating expenses, hindi po sa personal services, dun po sa mga subscription.
Nalito ako sa'yo. Sabi mo sa MOOE, tapos sabi mo nasa personal services. Alin ba talaga?
Ay, sorry po, Madam Chair. Hindi po. Yung ano po natin, sandali po, babalik ko lang po.
Ganito na lang. It doesn't seem to be indicated here in your slides. In as much as you have a request for a 90 million additional funding, otherwise you'll be in the red, will you please submit the breakdown for said 90 million so that I can make a coherent presentation to the committee?
Sige po, Madam Chair. We'll do that.
Question, your COA findings continue to indicate na you need a provider. Does that mean they're recommending outsourcing the bulk of your IT data requirements?
Hindi naman, Madam Chair, but our system is outsourced, and that's why we are also paying for the system maintenance. And 21% of our budget will go to that.
So 21%. Yeah,
Yes,
okay,
Madam Chair.
for IT.
Opo,
Okay.
yes po.
Are you ISO certified?
Hindi pa po, Madam Chair, and that's why we are working on that right now. We are glad that the DAP gave us the grant for 2020. So we're working on that. Not yet today, Madam.
No, my
Madam
question
Chair.
is, I don't see in your budget anything about ISO certification, which was discussed by Chairman Garchitorena last year. Kasi nakakahiya naman tayo credit information, pero mismo yung korporasyon hindi naman ISO. Maliliit na probinsya katulad ng Ilocos Norte hanggang maliliit na bayan sa tuktok ng Cordillera, ISO. Kaya niyo yan.
When
Pero ba't wala pa
Yeah.
pero wala akong nakikita sa budget nyo about
Kasi po,
ISO.
kasi Madam Chair, ano po, grantee kami ng DAP. Binigyan po nila
Grant
kami
ng
ng
DAP?
grant. Opo. Opo,
With all
kaya
due
hindi po.
with all due respect sa DAP, maraming bumabagsak.
Ganun po ba? Pero yun po yung yun po yung ginagawa namin ngayon. Ang target namin
Okay,
is
so your
certification by
grant,
next year.
When is the goal to be ISO certified kahit partial man lang, kahit hindi
Ano
naman
po?
full green certification, at least yung basic?
Yes, Madam Chair. This year po, end of the year, but because of the pandemic, yung certification po fully certified by first quarter po ng 2021. Yun yung ano natin,
2021,
target.
first quarter. So, does that
Opo.
mean you nag-umpisa na kayo dyan?
Opo, Madam Chair. Kahit po ngayong pandemic, nag-ano po kami, nag-ISO po kami ngayon.
Oo, kasi matagal matagal pag DAP sa atin-atin lang. Anyway,
Sige po.
Meron rin kayong revenues, nalilito ako sa figures kasi doon sa initial presentation, ang sabi ninyo 37 million. Kanina, ang sabi mo 10.7 million noong 2019. Alin ba talaga? I guess what I should ask more correctly is, how much did the Credit Corporation actually remit to the Bureau of Internal Revenue?
Ang nangyari po dyan, Madam Chair, for 2019, ang ina-anticipate po namin for 2020 was 10 million. But probably also because of the pandemic, nag-increase po yung revenue namin. So, unexpected now we have 37 million pesos. But on the exact
So
figures
yung
we
10
have...
million naging 37.
Yes, Madam Chair.
Ano
Yan
ba?
po yung estimates namin noong 2019. Ang sabi namin, ang makukuha
10.
namin for 2020 would be only 10. Pero yun nga yung medyo surprising, probably because of the pandemic, mas nag-increase po yung yung need dun sa database. Pati po yung borrowers, ang ina-anticipate lang namin
That's
11 million. Ngayon nasa 18.5 million na po tayo.
And when do you see an estimated 37 na sinulat ninyo? 38 pa nga
Ngayon po yan. Ngayon lang po nangyari yan.
Pero sabi mo, yung actual 18 pa lang. Kailan magiging 37.5 yan?
Ngayon po, ngayon
Projected lang
2020
ninyo
po.
to, di ba? You just projected this. You projected it
Opo.
presumably to a certain date. What date would that be?
For 2020 po, end of 2020 po. Ngayon
So, ang ina-anticipate ninyo, 37.5 yan by December of 2020.
Yes, Madam Chair. May mga kasi tayo.
Kasi ang dinidiscuss kasi natin na GAA 2021. So ano yung projection ninyo sa 2021, please?
Ang po natin, Madam Chair, ang project po natin would also be around 30. Nasa 30 million din po yung yung ating, sandali po. Ayan, nasa 37. Nasa 37.5 din po yung pinina-target natin.
Nalilito ako. Kanina sabi mo that figure of 37.549 was the projected till December 31 of 2020. Now you are
Opo.
saying that the same figure is in fact the projected for 2021. How can it be the exact same figure for 2 years? Alin ba talaga?
Hindi, Madam Chair, yung actual po ngayon na nangyari is we got 38 million. But even
You actually
this year,
remitted to BIR 38 million already?
hindi po actual remitted, Madam Chair, kasi nangyari po yung deposit ng prepayment namin August, nung mga clients namin was August and September lang. So,
Okay,
but
pero
I can
ano mo?
ask but we will check how much.
Mag-submit ka na lang, pwede?
Sige po, Madam Chair.
Para maliwanag, magkano yung actually remitted and collected up to
Opo.
this point in time, tapos yung projected hanggang December, tapos yung buong 2021.
Opo. Nagkataon, Madam Chair, na yung figures na dumating sa amin, yung pinoproject namin ng 2021, yun yung actual as of today, yun yung nakuha namin from clients kasi meron po kaming prepayment
So you're
scheme.
saying that today you're in possession of 37.5 million plus in revenue?
Yes, Madam Chair, meron kaming ganong revenue ngayon.
Akala ko sabi mo 18 yung actual. O
Ah,
sige, ayusin na lang natin yan. Pwede ba can I have it in writing, the exact amounts
Sige po, I'll
collected,
explain.
estimated, and actually remitted to the BIR? Pwede?
Sige po, Madam Chair, yeah, we'll
Hindi
submit that
kasi
to
ang
you.
mangyayari niyan, iaawas yan sa 90 million na hinihingi ninyo eh. Kaya gusto ko intindihin kung paano i-justify. Okay?
Opo. Actually, Madam Chair, ang nangyari, but first, we would like to thank you kasi last year, we were supposed to get only 20 million and then nag-increase siya ng 50 million. Pero
Kaya
our
nga.
COB was talaga 100 million. So ngayon,
I understand.
ano pa kami? Wala
I know.
kaming
Ano ba
funds.
nangyari kay Chair Garchitorena?
Ano po, actually yun nga, I have to take over as the OIC because last week our board of directors issued a resolution to have an election by end of the month.
I see, I see. Okay. I have one I have another issue, no? Meron kayong online dispute resolution. May maraming interesado dyan dahil sa 60-day grace period, the need for due diligence and other investigations because it's anticipated that we will have a new SPAB or the FISTC, no? So,
Yes.
given that, ano yung status ng online dispute resolution ninyo at saka yung mga iba't iba pang mga effort dyan sa credit
Yes.
rating?
Yes, maganda nga,
Talaga
Madam
bang
Chair.
online na siya?
Yes po. In fact, I can go to our actual website now. Ito po yung website natin. And kung kumuha ng credit report yung borrower, pwede po siyang pumunta rito sa online dispute. Kung let's say meron siyang 5 credit card and then gusto niyang i-correct or i-update, then pwede po siya rito, magfa-file lang.
Actually, kahapon sinisurf ko yan. Ang problema ko dyan, natatakot ako sa cybersecurity. Meron ba kayong precautions dyan? Kasi halos every quarter, meron tayong naririnig na nananakawan na mga bangko, no? The latest one being UCPB. So, are there cybersecurity measures in place? Because
Yes.
you have so much information online.
Yes, Madam Chair. Ang ano natin, siguro just to assure also, yung database naman natin, hindi yan nakakonect dun sa website natin. And siguro another thing that we really would want to always impress is that bulk of our expenses would go to our security procurement fees. We always regularly conduct VAPT, yung pong vulnerability assessment, penetration testing. Meron po tayo niyan palagi. So hindi
Okay.
kaya nga, Madam Chair, talagang kailangan po namin nung budget na 90
No,
million
but,
para mabayaran yung
okay.
mga
Okay, because I know for a fact that you are exempted from the data privacy, di ba? You're
Yes, Madam Chair.
You're explicitly exempted. So if there are data breaches, magkakaproblema talaga tayo. So dapat yung cybersecurity ninyo mas matindi. So yung
Kaya nga po,
online
Madam Chair.
resolution, yung online dispute and resolution process ninyo, marami na ba nag-avail niyan?
Opo, marami, Madam Chair. Kasi ang ginawa natin, pag kumuha ng
Pero
credit
marami
report,
means ilan?
nasa
To
mga
justify the additional
500.
expenditure kasi eh.
Sige po, nasa mga po tayo, at least 500 a month tayo. Hindi pa kami nag-aggressive campaign eh. But once we
Yeah,
see
kasi
that
konti
aggressive
lang
campaign, then
nakakaalam
pwede
yan
po.
eh.
Opo, kaya wala nga po kasi
Could
tayo.
you just give me can you just give me a briefer on the status of your online dispute resolution? Kasi that's a big pitch also for the additional budget that you're requesting.
Sige, Madam Chair, will do. And yes, will do, Madam Chair.
Oh, sige. Thank you very much. That being the case, I think the information requested, if you can submit as soon as possible so that I can work out with the main committee and the chairman of finance, the request for additional budget and so forth. Okay, so pwede na kayong umalis. Oh, I see Eileen at yung ibang
Thank you po.
tropa ng Credit Information Corporation. Pero kung maaari, itong mga hinihingi naming impormasyon, yung mga revenues ninyo, kasi hindi masyadong maliwanag, yung breakdown ng additional 90 million at yung online dispute resolution, kung maaari, bigay lang ninyo sa akin lahat yan dahil kung humihingi kayo ng pera, kailangan ipaliwanag na talaga namang kinakailangan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you po, Madam Chair.
Okay, maraming salamat. Okay, sa ating Philippine Competition Commission o ang ating tanong dito yes, I'd like to inquire on the breakdown. Also, additional information. You have an unprogrammed appropriation for foreign assisted projects. If I may request a breakdown on those projects, I think you alluded to them earlier, but I needed sana an itemized listing so that I can present them also for counterpart funding and augmentation po.
We will provide that, Madam Chair. We'll send you the information today, the
Thank
details
you
of
very much. Okay, the other question has been the conflict or apparent disagreement of the ease of doing business as well as the timelines established by the Philippine Competition Act. Under RA 11032 sa ease of doing business, may 3 days requirement or 7 days kapag komplikado. We welcome the minority leader here, Senator Drilon. Thank you very much for coming to the meeting. We are now undertaking the Philippine Competition Commission. There seems to be a disparity between the ease of doing business timeline of 3 or 7 days with 20 days for highly technical transactions. Samantalang sa Philippine Competition Act, for M&A, for mergers and acquisitions, there's a 30-day review. Is that a real disagreement? And are there any steps being taken to align the present Philippine Competition Act with the Ease of Doing Business Act?
Indeed, Madam Chair, we've had a series of meetings with the ease of doing business, and I would like to point out that all the previous efforts of the PCC to simplify the processes, the notification processes and submission of document, etc., enabled us to reduce the number of days for decisions to arrive at well below the statutory or reglementary period provided by our law, which is 30 days for phase one, Madam Chair. But there is also a recognition by the ease of doing business that that for
Highly technical po.
for agencies that are have quasi-judicial functions where reviews, extensive reviews are needed. Is there's some flexibility to that, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And I'm certain that our distinguished minority leader will recall the lengthy debate with Congresswoman Stella and the rest regarding the 5-day rule that we imposed on investigative and quasi-judicial so that M&As that were necessary in the time of COVID would not be unduly delayed. So siguro we need to act on this. Any recommendation from the Philippine Competition Commission kung anong dapat gawin dyan just to hasten the M&A timelines?
Well, as of now, Madam Chair, since the Bayanihan uh, to Recover as One Act is already in place, our threshold for notification of 50 billion already applies. And so that significantly, substantially reduced the number of mergers and acquisitions uh, filings to the commission. And so there's, in fact, in our previous last 3 years of 4 years of M&As, we found that very few companies are actually covered by that new threshold of 50
With
billion.
50 billion, ang taas eh.
Yes, many of these are actually just multinational companies, and
Correct.
they are not even actually the problematic cases, because these multinational companies have very little exposure in terms of production, competition in the domestic market, but they are just in say processing zones where their outputs are exported, fully exported, things like that. So, Madam Chair, so it's actually very little now that is going to be catch by or caught by the new threshold.
That's right. If the minority leader has any questions, you're welcome to interject at any point.
Good
Uh,
morning,
no
good morning,
questions.
sir.
Good morning, Secretary. Yes, I have no questions, but just the spirit of the Bayanihan 1 and even Bayanihan 2 is in times of this pandemic, we do hope that the bureaucracy can review all the processes that they go through so that the least delay can be, there should be no delay, and we've imposed certain periods under the Bayanihan and then the ARTA and the Bayanihan 1 and 2. And my message to the secretary is we hope that the processes can be streamlined so that we can comply with the law and the spirit of Bayanihan 1 and 2. We have no questions on the budget, Madam Chair of ARTA.
Thank you very much, Senator Gilon. And yes, in fact, there is an escape hatch in the Ease of Doing Business law. There's a 20-day extension that can be requested in writing. So there is that as well. But like Senator Gilon said, we're all eager that we be pro-business, particularly in these difficult times. I had one last question. It appears that you have consistently had difficulty in collecting fines of non-compliant entities, hindi sila nagbabayad. Last year, ang nakolekta lang ninyo out of 114 was 40 million. Tapos this year, 100 million ang nakolekt, 62 wala pang nakolekt. What's the problem?
Well, the problem so far this year, Madam Chair, is that as you well know, the administrative order was issued following the issuance of Bayanihan 1, which suspended hearings, pleadings, payment of fines and so or fees, so that essentially freeze the activities in that regard. One of the
But, Mr.
cases.
Chair, last year, there was no Bayanihan 1 or 2 and no such freeze, and still you were unable to collect?
Okay, one of the cases there, Madam Chair, where substantial fines were imposed was appealed to the Court of Appeals, and so that's this is the current status now.
I see. Okay, I think one last precaution. If you could give us a quick summary of any actions you've taken against agricultural cartels, because Senator Villar has sent that question in repeatedly, and I need to provide her an answer in order to justify the augmented budget you're requesting.
Yeah.
Yes, Senator Gilon, please.
Yeah.
Yes,
Which I forgot.
commodity.
Mr. Secretary, this is a relatively new piece of legislation, and it was during my time as Senate President when we worked on this. It was not an easy law to pass, and we had to rely chiefly on the legal system and jurisprudence in other countries because we had very limited experience. When was the law passed, incidentally, and how long ago was it effective?
S- Sir, hello.
Yes.
Yes.
2016?
Medyo concern, medyo nagsabi. Can I have, can I, could you repeat that last question, sir?
It only indicates that you must open competition in our telco area because this precisely this is the problem. When you is a monopoly, we cannot hear each other as
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the priorities that we had over the last few years. The improvement in the telco services, and indeed we have been working closely with the ICT, particularly during the time of this secretary, in enhancing the competition environment in the telco services of the telco industry. As you may be aware, one of the birth pains of PCC was when we were challenged by the duopoly in the courts regarding the exercise of our mandate, and it's still there. It's been resolved by the court. So, but we haven't stopped. We are using other legal openings available for our advocacy of a more competitive environment in the telco, particularly internet, and which is now very crucial during these trying times.
okay. After
Senator
2
Frank,
years,
I was,
yes,
I found,
yes.
yeah, sorry, Senator Frank, to your query earlier, I think it was finally passed in 2015 under your stewardship after languishing in Congress for 24 years.
Yes, thank you very much, Senator. I mean, that is why, as we talk today, after having experienced 2 years in the implementation of the law, is there anything that you find as an urgent need for us for an amendment for us to consider after having been
That Ilocos Norte applies, and for some reason, we always fail to meet the guidelines. Governor
Madam,
pa ako nun.
Madam Chair, actually, we have already also trained your vocal in the province for PSF project proposal development. So we will provide you the approved guidebook by the board on the development of these project proposals, and
Please
also.
provide Senator Drilon as well.
Opo, we will do that. And as to the nature of the six approved projects, they're about climate field school po do sa Mindanao, sa Siargao, ecological based farming, meron din po tayong climate resilient agriculture, meron din pong watershed rehabilitation, at meron din pong reach to reef adaptation and river ecosystems management. Yan yung pong mga initial projects that were approved by the board po. So,
Yeah.
meron po tayong in the pipeline ng
Ganyan
mga
din yung
18 project
sinasabit ko
proposals.
eh.
Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, Madam.
Senator Drilon, please.
Yes. I'll be very specific so I'll understand better when your work. We used to have, or we have in my city government in Iloilo, the Iloilo River Development Council, wherein we coordinated all the environmentally related projects, which of course is limited in the meantime to the Iloilo River, including informal settlers, including quality of the water, mangrove, etc., etc. We've been very successful. The Iloilo River has become a model of urban development, and we are proud to say that it has complied with environmentally related regulation. Now, this coming week, we are going to revive that through Mayor Treñas. And this time, not only on the Iloilo River, but all environmentally related projects in the city. Now, can you tell us how you can help?
Sure, Senator Drilon, Madam Chair, we will get in touch immediately with the LGU concerned, and also because right now sa listahan ko po ng 29 project proposals with the People's Survival Fund Secretariat, wala pong Iloilo rito. But if there is a, but we've been in this mission of helping LGUs po. In fact, we have invested much in training them and also collaborated with state universities and colleges para matulungan po yung LGUs natin na makagawa ng magandang project proposal. But we will get in touch po with the LGUs in Iloilo and ensure that a good proposal is generated po from the province. And the same also po with actually, we are working closely din po with the provincial government of Ilocos Norte. And
Wala
they have
na,
already...
napagod na kami. Anak ko na eh. Anak ko na eh, wala pa rin.
meron pong meron po silang dinidevelop na concept note na tinutulungan po namin sila. And we've enrolled them in the PSF online training course
Madam
po.
Chair, let me just
Senator Drilon, please.
do a little correction. I am talking about Iloilo City government,
Okay.
not Iloilo Provincial. So I hope you don't get in touch with the governor. Anything, but he will not know anything about this.
Yeah.
And let us start on a more manageable level. The Iloilo province has about nearly 2 million inhabitants and 43 municipalities, and so it's a little big. Maybe we can start small. 500,000 inhabitants in Iloilo City. We have already the basic projects that develop and improve the river. Senator Aimee has seen what we have done insofar as the river is concerned. And so the local government, Mayor Jerry Treñas, is encouraged by what he saw. We had the private sector tapped here. So may I request the good secretary to get in touch with Mayor Jerry Treñas.
Okay.
Advise him that during this budget hearing, the matter of the People's Survivor Fund was touched and that this has not been availed of by the city. So maybe you can discuss this with him and see how you can help our constituency together with that of Ilocos Norte, which apparently the Ilonggos and the Ilocanos are totally unaware of the benefits that they can avail of insofar as the People Survival Fund is concerned. We have survived, mind you,
Yeah.
but it would be better if we can live healthier with the Survival Fund. Is that possible, Mr. Secretary?
Certainly, Senator Drilon, Madam Chair Aimee, we will send you po within today an update on the PSF and also the guidelines that you would like to be familiar with, and also an overview of the projects that have been approved so that they can also serve as a model for the project development in your respective LGU spot. And also, I'd like to inform the honorable senators that recently the PSF board approved a mechanism to support the LGUs in the project proposal development. Kasi po, kung hindi po magandang project proposal, hindi po talaga papasa siya sa
Mm.
board, no? And very strict po ang board according to rules, at saka naghahanap din po sila ng mga cost benefit analysis, etc., etc. Now, the board has created what we call the project development grant. So as much as 2 million pesos can be availed of by the LGUs just to
For
develop
the project.
the project po, to come up with a good concept note. You can engage your local academician or consultant, and I think the best way to ensure access to this fund is to come up with a really good and sound a project proposal. Kasi the project po is actually bound by certain criteria and rules provided by law, and we could not deviate from that po because it's a special fund. It's not yeah, it's a special fund, adaptation fund. So
Thank you.
yan po ang ating yan po ang ating but we are committed to helping the LGUs po.
Thank
Don't
you,
worry about
Secretary.
that.
Thank you, Secretary De Guzman. Kasi year on year, Senator Drillo, nagsusoli sila ng pera sa National Treasury. So, sayang na sayang. So, mere advisement po, Mr. Secretary, it will burnish the record of the People's Survival Fund to be involved with the outstanding development of the Iloilo River. Sisikat kayo niyan, promise. At
Salamat, Senator. So can we just get some update on the good
Sure.
secretary before the good chairperson presents the budget to plenary? We have no objection to presenting the budget to plenary, but
Thank
may
you.
we request the good secretary to update us, this chair and myself and the entire committee on this specific request of ours. For kami lang kasi masipag mag-attend ng budget mo eh. Kaya siguro naman meron kaming premyo. Ha? Sabihin mo sa amin kung paano naman how our local government units can avail of this fund, and you say to start with, you have to train them how to present a proposal, which is good, you know. So it's good. So we endorse that. So can you? But I would like, you know, to get an update from you before the budget is presented for final approval on this proposed how do you call this, briefing or contacts with the LGUs in Iloilo City, in Ilocos Norte, on how the People's Survival Fund can be put to good use. Ha? Di ba?
Sige.
Salamat po.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Honors.
Minority Leader, meron pang isang source of funds ang climate change. Itatanong ko lang sana, yung Green Climate Fund, which is the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, na laging pinagmamalaki ni Congressman Joey Salceda na nakakadali siya ng milyon-milyon. Inggit na po kami. We want to know if the Climate Change Commission has actually downloaded for the Philippines from that International Green Climate Fund.
Thank you very much for the question, Madam Chair. Last year, we're able to access 10 million US dollars po. Again, the project proposal development process is actually key. And the project proposal and
Where did
for
the $10
this,
million go? Sorry.
it is going to be disbursed through Land Bank of the Philippines po. Kasi sila yung Land Bank.
Saan
Yung land
ibibigay yung $10 million po?
Ito po for the enhancement of our early warning systems for Pag-asa. And there are beneficiary LGUs, about I think about 8, which Pag-asa selected because they will be establishing early warning systems po. Improved
Okay.
early warning systems, state of the art, multi-hazard early warning systems.
Pero Secretary, presumably this is merely a pilot. This is merely piloting because there are only 8 out of the thousands of islands that we have. Hindi ba madagdagan ng 10 million? Parang mas malaki pa ang nadadali ni Congressman Salceda eh.
Yan po ang ating tinatrabaho, Madam Chair. We want more good proposals that will really pass the standards of the Green Climate Fund, which is an international climate finance mechanism of the Paris Agreement. So,
Yes,
again,
Minority Leader, marami pa pong pera dyan sa Green Climate Fund. And they keep asking the Philippines why we are not applying because there are still funds remaining for Asia particularly. And we are ranked among the top 3 most vulnerable. So I'm perplexed that it's only 10 million and it's only early warning for a mere 8 LGUs. Baka naman na maisip natin na magsumigasig dyan, Senator Drilon, hindi po ba?
Kaya nga po eh. Yan, alam mo, ganda sa hearing ito, marami tayong nadidiscovery eh. Ha? Kaya kung po pwede naman, since we are the ones who would, Senator Amy and I are the ones who would take time to look at your budget, maybe you can give us a brief on these 2 funds that Senator Amy is referring to, and in addition to what I mentioned about our request that you get in touch directly with our LGUs to make them aware of the good intentions of the fund and how it can be availed of, a short brief to us on this green fund. I don't even know what
Green
it is.
Climate Fund,
Green
that's
Climate Fund.
United Nations po.
Oh, sige.
Your Honors, we will send pot within the day
Yes, please.
the briefs that you requested, and we are most willing to help you in this regard, so that our LGUs could really access these funds.
Yes.
Kasi that's the only way that we will be able to adapt to the impact of climate change po.
Yes.
So,
yes.
and we really appreciate your interest in accessing these climate finance, and that is also the interest of the Climate Change Commission. And rest assured, we will work closely with you on this, and perhaps be able to develop really in a very short time a good proposal. Because the key really to access these funds is to meet their criteria. Like for the Green Climate Fund, ang criteria po nila, the project should be not really very much local, but actually scale. Gusto po nila scale, gusto nila transformative, and gusto nila innovative. So if we could cluster a number of LGUs so it will achieve a certain scale, I think that will really merit the consideration of the Green Climate Fund.
Very good, very good. So we start with your briefing paper, and from there
Yeah, sure.
we can proceed. I'm willing to work with Senator Amy, and let's see what we can do for Ilocos Norte, what we can do for Iloilo. Principally, the Sigaw ng Bayan is access to funds.
Yeah,
Correct.
we'll do
So
that.
it's been a
For the proper and right projects.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
yes.
fine.
Yeah.
We're just putting it lightly, but it's the whole purpose.
Yeah, our technical support po is in enabling the LGUs to develop a good proposal that meets the criteria. So yun po, and we have the technical team that could mentor the LGUs in this regard.
Good.
And
good.
we have also established the online mentoring in this regard. So meaning even without traveling to your respective areas, we will be able to reach out to the technical people at the local community level.
So first order of business, get in touch with the chief executives of Ilocos Norte, Iloilo City. and
Iloilo City, okay.
Okay?
We'll do that
Thank
po.
you very much. So I hope that this has been a productive morning for our minority leader po.
And our chair of the committee.
Yes, very much so. This is a partnership. Thank you po.
Thank you, Your
And,
Honors.
With the submission of the requested information from Secretary De Guzman and the Climate Change Commission, I close for the moment the subcommittee hearing this morning. If there are any comments from our minority leader po?
We take the honor and pleasure of moving that the budget be submitted for the consideration of plenary. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. The budget having been duly endorsed at the subcommittee level, we push it forward towards the Mother Committee of Finance. Thank you very much.
Thank you po. Bye-bye.